After an election campaign that sometimes saw personalities pitched above policies, it's back to the day job for Boris Johnson and his team after securing a second term at City Hall. But what are the immediate challenges being faced and what should the Mayor prioritise? Alex Bushell has been taking a look at the to-do list.
The prize is his, so too the responsibilities.
So on day one of term 2, what are the Mayor's priorities? What's on his to-do list as he returns to his office here at City Hall? And who will he choose to help him?
Crime remains a priority, and today a reshuffle. Kit Malthouse loses his job as Deputy Mayor for Policing. Stephen Greenhalgh, the former leader of Hammersmith and Fulham Council, will be his successor. Either way, some are unconvinced.
We've got the 2012 Games this year, we've got the Diamond Jubilee. Both are huge security challenges for the police. To change the person who heads that up in London ahead of that seems extraordinary to me.
And on the economy, to deliver that election promise of 200,000 new jobs, Kit Malthouse has been appointed the new Deputy Mayor for Business. But can it be done?
It's going to be tough. Over the next few years, we see unemployment in London rising, continuing to rise, to remain well above the UK average. So the best he can do, really, is to push George Osborne for more pro-growth measures.
Where the Mayor does have real power is transport. The key challenge is to control fare rises and upgrading tube infrastructure.
Transport for London's budgets do have a substantial amount of spare cash in them. Some of it, of course, is earmarked, not all of it. And he may think he can hold fares down a bit lower than those that he's been going with in recent years.
And then there's housing. The Mayor promising 55,000 new affordable homes by 2016. And now some say he needs new powers.
The problem is that at the moment what you've got is a one-size-fits-all national approach, which is effectively a straitjacket for London. What we need is the Mayor of London, with his democratic legitimacy of 1 million votes, to be able to exercise freedom to set caps and thresholds here in London that fit with London's unique housing market.
And then, of course, there's the small matter of the Olympics. Boris needs a no-strike deal with the RMT, and quickly. The Games will need to go without a hitch. Plenty to do then, and soon the eyes of the world will be on London and its Mayor. Alex Bushell, BBC London News.
Well, with me now is Adam Bienkov, a London journalist and blogger, and Andrew Gilligan from The Telegraph. Welcome to you both. Andrew, if I can turn to you first, what is the one thing that Boris Johnson needs to get right? Because this is a difficult time for the country and for London.
He needs to focus. He hasn't been a disaster, as Ken Livingstone claimed. He hasn't been lazy, but he's lacked focus. He's done a lot of small and medium-sized things like the cable car, the island airport, the Olympic sculpture, things that just don't matter to most people and aren't of any importance, really. He needs to focus on transport, which is the alpha and the omega of the Mailty, and on crime. If he had just got a little bit more efficiency out of transport for London, most commercial organisations aim to save 2 to 3% every year in costs. If TfL could manage that, it wouldn't need to increase the fares.
Adam, do you agree?
Yeah, I think Boris needs to focus on some of the areas that he talked a lot about in 2008 and hasn't delivered on. So back then he talked a lot about tackling youth crime and tackling knife crime, but he hasn't really done a lot of that in the last 4 years. So he spoke a lot back then about those issues, but in reality his mentoring scheme has only helped about 100 young people. Knife crime has gone up. So, and also last year, London riots was a big issue in London. It was a huge international story, but Boris himself hasn't really said a lot about it since.
So looking forward...
Crime overall, yeah.
So looking forward, what's the one thing he can't afford to get wrong?
I think, the problem for Boris now is that he isn't really focused, I don't think, on the London mayoralty itself. He's looking towards the next job. So his main task now is to persuade members of his own party that he can be good enough to be the next Tory leader.
I think those interests coincide, actually, because he can't, if he does want to be next Tory leader, and I think he probably does, then he can only become that if he convinces people that he can step up a gear and be a really, a great mayor. He's been a perfectly good mayor, I think, but not a great one so far. And he needs to step up a gear and show that he can make a big difference.
But does that mean that London suffers as a result?
No, because I think the better he does as mayor, the better London does, and likelier his chances are of taking the leadership.
Where I disagree with Andrews, I think if Boris was going to be a radical reforming mayor, he would have started before now. I can't really see him now, after 4 years of doing relatively little, suddenly turning into this transformative figure.
I think we've seen in these appointments announced today, Stephen Greenhalgh particularly, who's a leader of a very, if you like, ideological Tory council, a very fixed-purpose Tory council, which is actually quite popular with its voters. I think we are seeing a bit of a shift to the right. I think we are seeing a bit of an ideological focus coming out in these new appointments.
OK, final word to you, Adam.
I think he has appointed some people who are typically more right-wing, but he appointed people like that in the first term and not a lot happened. I think he's going to concentrate. He doesn't want to rock the boat too much. He doesn't want to cause too much controversy. I think we'll see more of the same in the next few years.
OK, and I'm sure you'll both be watching very, very keenly. Thank you both for joining us. Thank you.